Hello and welcome back to the Gold Advantage. Covering the LEC season finals. We had like one good match, one not so great match, but like B&B, you called it. Some really good calls there.
I was gonna say we might not have had a great match, but we had a great pick.
We had some great picks, absolutely. I hope like people were trading it because they definitely made money.
As you know, BDS is an enigma at this point. I don't know what to do there. We said like don't touch us. This is not a match that we are really confident in.
Yeah.
I would have picked BDS to beat 2 weeks ago, SK I think it was.
Yep.
BDS at this point, I'm just staying away from.
Yeah.
Not things that I feel confident in. But the main match that we were really cued in on was Fnatic.
Yeah.
Right? We were very focused on that game. We thought it was going to be a very tight game. We said XL, great team. They'd kind of already peaked in that long break.
Yes.
We were concerned about. So what did we hammer? We hammered the Fnatic money line.
Yep.
And we hammered the over 4.5. Right? And those were the two that we really were
big on.
Believers in. And basically,
it cashed out big time.
Straight up called it.
I think you were more on the money line than I was. Saw
Yep.
the value on the XL money line, which I stand by. That game 5, they could have won. I think they got the better draft technically.
Yep.
So that was a good bet that didn't work its way out. But I think if I remember correctly, the plus 1.5 was really generous as well. And I was like 100% take this. And I distinctly remember this because I think Fnatic was like a 1.3 favorite, which was just egregious. And yeah, it worked out really well. You know what? There was 1 or 2 games where I was surprised that Excel didn't close it out. But overall, I think this is a good showing. And it's just bad luck that they matched up against Fnatic. 2 of the top 3 teams, the finalists, the team that lost to them with 3rd place. And now we've just swapped it. As the great BNB says, it's always hard to beat the same team twice.
It's really hard.
It came true. It's annoying because it just comes true just enough that we can't get rid of that saying. It's wrong so often, and I'm like, finally, we're done with it, and then it happens, and it hits.
It works 100% of the time, 50% of the time.
But I think like if XL had faced off against SK or BDS, I think they win. No problem.
Absolutely no problem. We were always Abdage fans. This is an XL team that did really well. I think this is an XL team that really, especially this summer, like just became the team that was firing on all cylinders.
Fnatic. So Oscar, they win the series. His hand is broken. They still managed to win the series,
which is insane.
He has a great tweet saying he only needed one hand to gap Odo. Excellent. But he's having surgery, so he's out. That's it. He's done for the rest of at least this split, potentially Worlds. They're bringing back Wonder, which great. Wonder's solid, but Wonder himself has said, I haven't been playing in ages. So,
I mean, what do you do? Because you can't bring a player back. Like, you can't now go up to XL and be like, hey, can we borrow Omne? That's a big issue.
It is.
Not to speak down to our beloved listeners, but like, that's one of the 5 most important roles in this game.
It's definitely up there. It's definitely one of those crucial pieces, definitely.
Especially at this late in the stage, like, chemistry is a real thing in League, right? Knowing how your team is playing. And so, but then again, I've already said it once, like, I don't know what to do with this BDS team. And so, like that, to me, like, that's the bigger story of this is this BDS team's an enigma to me, man.
BDS just did not look good. The games did not look good.
It's the weirdest 3-0 I've ever watched.
We have Fnatic as the favorites at a 1.60, which is crazy, by the way, because XL definitely looks better than BDS. So, okay, Fnatic's a 1.606, and BDS is a 2.24. The big flag is there's no Oscar. They're bringing in Wonder, who himself said, I'm not fully prepared for this meta. And they're playing against essentially BDS's best player, Adam.
Yeah, correct. Right? Is bottom lanes of BDS strong enough to going up against, Noah and Humanoid in a way that will allow them to really expose Fnatic's top lane possible weaknesses, right?
Well, the thing is, Wonder's always been comfortable being weak side top.
Right. You just need to make sure Adam can't snowball the game.
It's very clear how both teams are going to want to play this.
What would be your coaching strategy?
Actually put Wonder on something tanky that is just going to be relevant later on regardless. An Oner or something like that. You're going to be playing into Jaxes and stuff like that. And really, just take a Malphite, just take a, like I said, an Oner or something, just something tanky that you're not going to lose too much on, and let Noah and Humanoid carry. Now, Noah had some really good games and some choking games against XL. So I was there's moments of sus there.
But to be fair to XL, Patrick's really good.
He was playing pretty
so
well.
like
He was. Yeah.
he's really good.
So
to your point, it's so funny because as I think through it, right, do you then have Razor kind of like staying in the top lane, and like not in the top lane, but like staying in the north part of the jungle, and let Humanoid kind of be the support?
No, I think you use Razork and you just sack the top lane because you know they're going to be sending Shio up in the top lane.
Well, that's kind of the point. It's like while Adam could be fed up north, if you then commit all of your resources, right? You actually put Razork also going down, and you really feed Noah and Humanoid. I don't know, 2/3, 1/3. Like
Agreed.
I'm kind of thinking you can kind of overpower it to the degree that even though a fed Adam is a formidable opponent, you have more damage coming from your ADC in your mid lane and also your jungle than I think that you can absorb from your top lane. So
exactly.
I wouldn't overthink this if I'm Fnatic. No. That's I think where I'm getting at is like while I love BDS, and this is not like a terrible BDS team. Like I don't mean to imply that this is like a questionable BDS team. They still did take one game off G2, and G2's good. So like this is a BDS team that's very qualified. A BDS money line at 2.24, I just have to take, given some of the player inconsistencies. And what I really want to emphasize is, and this will come up before the game starts, I absolutely love a BDS plus 1.5. Okay. And I absolutely love the over 4.5 again. And so I'm just going to be hitting over 4.5 BDS plus 1.5.
Yeah. Okay. I think the money line is one to consider for that real upset in case everything goes wrong. But I would actually just rather take BDS individual map lines. So if they get a really good draft and Fnatic has a bad one, I'm getting like the map lines at 2.05 on BDS. I would take BDS there. That's my hedge. And I actually much prefer, I think the Fnatic, I think that you can take Fnatic minus 1.5 at a 2.35. I think that's good. Because I just not, even in the win against SK, I wasn't that impressed by BDS. I just don't feel, unfortunately, I think they peaked in spring.
I'm not saying that I love BDS's performance against SK.
Yeah.
Not saying that at all. It is a 3-0. They did close it out. They did win a game against G2. This is a team that could be building confidence. They might see some blood in the water with the injury to Fnatic. I could, and Crownie's playing fantastic.
He is. But I think the problem is around BDS as a team is formidable in each individual lane. And we've seen what they're capable of. But the way they're playing together, I don't feel like they are playing that well together. And that's my issue here is that the BDS that got to finals in spring is not the BDS we're seeing now. It seems like it's very individual. It seems like a lot of it is being put on Adam. They just seem to be forcing and they're uncoordinated on the map. And that's why I'm leaning towards Fnatic. I like the minus 1.5. I prefer that. I will also say that I do think I actually think that's fair.
Are you seeing odds for that? Are you seeing odds for the minus 1.5?
Yeah, I have it's 2.35. Oh, all right. So that's what I would take there. Other side of things, G2 Mad Lions. So we obviously saw Mad Lions 3-0 XL, G2 3-1 BDS.
Yep.
It's hard for me to say anything, but like I expect G2 to just win this. But the odds are terrible. So the match, like my line is 1.18 on G2, 4.45 on Mad Lions. I think you have to put something on the Mad Lions just because that's crazy odds, and we have seen Mad Lions sometimes pull out the win.
They perform in playoffs.
They do.
This is a team that we habitually over time have stated they perform in playoffs.
Yep.
Is there any world where I think G2, and I think G2 is a good team, but I think that they're this significantly better than Mad Lions? I don't. So to me, you just have to put some money on Mad Lions in some ways. So to your point about, map wins, I would put Mad Lions on the map 1 win.
Yep.
Just coming out, getting a sneak win, right? I think that you're going to get really good value there. I'm going to put, which, by the way, that line is 2.82. Mm-hmm. I think that's good value for a map 1. On the matches, like Mad Lions to win at 4.45, maybe like half a unit just to say that you had something on it in case it pulls off. I'm looking more at like the plus 1.5 at 2.32.
That's what I was going to say. I love that. Yep. Absolutely. I think I could totally see this. Look, I can see it being a 3-0 for G2, but I can also see it being a 3-2. And like you said, I can see them winning one, definitely 3-1. I just think plus 2.5, there's no value there. Plus 1.5, like I said, that those odds are great. And on the flip side, there's only value on the minus 2.5. So it's a very it's a very risky one, and I think I would just rather go for the plus 1.5. Forget the money line, maybe a little small taste on the money line, but I love that plus 1.5, and I really think that's where there's opportunity. And then like I said, I always say, it's just kind of here, pay attention to the draft, and does Mad Lions get a good draft? Does G2 try to do something a bit weird and too crazy? And if that's the case, you can get really good odds on the side of Mad Lions. It's 2.82 at the moment.
Completely agree. There's a little devil on my shoulder, a nagging guy, just being like, take the fucking free money and pick G2 minus 1.5 at 1.56.
Yeah.
Like 1.56 is honestly,
it's pretty good.
Not terrible value. Yeah. If you could make 56% on your money every time you bet, you'd be a very, very rich person.
I agree.
It's hard for me to look at that level and just be like,
yep,
like that's just like the obvious thing that's probably going to be the outcome. So why wouldn't I take it? That's why we gamble.
There we go. No, I'm in agreement with you on that one. I think that's very reasonable. And that, unfortunately, there's just not really that much outside of that. If you're really hell-bent on getting the taking the G2 side of things, kill handicaps, minus 7.5, minus 8.5. Minus 7.5 is 1.7. Minus 8.5 is 1.86. I don't know if I love that much, just because Mad Lions can be super aggressive in their losses. And I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being like a 5-kill different game.
Well, I was going to say that about last game. Whatever you're doing, take the over on the kills for BDS Fnatic.
Yeah.
I just think you're going to see BDS constantly just trying to kill.
Okay.
And especially with some vulnerabilities in the top side, I think it's going to be a very bloodthirsty game.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I think that wraps it up. Any last words?
This is a weekend I'm actually looking forward to both these games.
Same.
While I think G2 is the better game, I love watching Mad Lions in playoffs because they just usually upset me and piss me off. Like last time when they beat BDS in the final, it broke my heart. But they just perform in playoffs. This is a proper Final Four to me, right? This is a BDS team that, of course, I'm near and dear to. A Fnatic team that just consistently performing. So, like, this is fun. I'm looking forward to this weekend. Both matches. I'm looking forward to being on here next week talking with you about the final.
I'm also excited to kind of see who BDS and Fnatic are in the lower bracket. So it's one of them is going to be the team that's going to face off against Golden Guardians.
Ooh,
for Worlds.
Such a good point. I love that.
I think Fnatic has the better chance of beating Golden Guardians. So I like the idea of that. But I think that if BDS is the one that ends up facing up against them, I think that's going to be a really exciting match, because I think Golden Guardians is better, which would be great for NA. But then on the flip side of it also, I think BDS's style would be really interesting to see how it matches up into Golden Guardians. Anyway, thanks everyone for tuning in. We will see you next week.
Toodaloo.